the Great War, a name that evokes images of trenches, mustard gas, and unimaginable loss. But the true scope of World War I extended far beyond the battlefields of Europe. From the poppy fields of Flanders to the deserts of the Middle East, the conflict ensnared nations across the globe in a web of alliances and bloodshed. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo was the spark, but the tinder was dry, fueled by decades of imperial rivalries and nationalist fervor. The world watched in disbelief as Europe, seemingly at the pinnacle of civilization, descended into chaos. The old order crumbled as empires clashed, their armies locked in a deadly embrace. This was a new kind of war, one of unprecedented scale and ferocity. Machine guns mowed down soldiers by the thousands, and poison gas choked the life out of trenches. Millions perished on battlefields far from home, their sacrifices forever etched in the annals of history. The Western Front, a scarred and desolate landscape, became synonymous with the horrors of trench warfare. Here, millions of soldiers faced each other across a narrow no-man's land, locked in a deadly stalemate. The Battle of the Somme, a horrific example of this attritional warfare, saw over 1 million casualties for a few miles of gained territory. In the east, the conflict raged across vast distances, from the Baltic Sea to the Caucasus Mountains. The Russian Empire, plagued by internal strife, faced the might of the German war machine. But World War I was not confined to Europe. In the Middle East, the Ottoman Empire, allied with the Central Powers, battled British and French forces for control of strategic waterways. The Gallipoli campaign, a disastrous attempt to capture Constantinople, resulted in heavy casualties for the Allied forces, including many from Australia and New Zealand. In Africa, colonial troops were drawn into the conflict, fighting in brutal campaigns that highlighted the global reach of the war. After 4 long years of bloodshed, the guns finally fell silent on November 11, 1918. The world had changed irrevocably, millions lay dead, empires had crumbled, and a sense of disillusionment pervaded the war-torn nations. In the aftermath of the conflict, world leaders convened in Paris to forge a lasting peace. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war, but sowed the seeds of future conflict. The treaty, heavily influenced by French desires for retribution and British and American aims for German containment, imposed harsh penalties on Germany. Germany was forced to accept responsibility for the war, cede territory, and pay crippling reparations. The treaty, while attempting to prevent future wars, ultimately fostered resentment and instability in Germany, contributing to the rise of extremism and the outbreak of World War II just 2 decades later. Section 4. Whispers from the Past. Personal Stories of W.R. The true cost of the Great War is best understood through the individual stories of those who lived through it. Take, for example, the story of Harry Patch, the last surviving British soldier who fought in the trenches. His accounts of the horrors he witnessed, the friends he lost, and the indelible mark the war left on his soul serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. Or consider the diaries of Vera Brittain, a young British woman who served as a nurse on the front lines. Her writings offer a poignant glimpse into the experiences of women during wartime and the emotional toll of witnessing unimaginable suffering. From the letters of German soldiers sent home from the Eastern Front to the poems of Wilfred Owen, who captured the horrors of trench warfare, personal accounts breathe life into the history of World War I. These stories transcend national boundaries, reminding us that beneath the uniforms were individuals, sons, fathers, brothers, daughters, mothers, sisters, who yearned for peace and a return to normalcy. The legacy of the Great War extends far beyond the armistice and the treaties that concluded it. The conflict reshaped the world in profound ways, influencing geopolitics, economies, and societies across the globe. It ushered in new borders, new ideologies, and a new order that would eventually lead to another world conflict. The war also sparked significant advancements in medicine and technology, driven by the urgent needs of the battlefield. Moreover, the Great War changed how societies viewed conflict and heroism, influencing generations and their perceptions of war and peace. Its impact is still felt today as we continue to reflect on its lessons and its warnings.